on track with you guys. It is so good to have all of you here today, to take a Saturday afternoon and really devote some time to us and to learn something that we think is really amazing. Dr. Street did a really great job explaining pH, right? Would you agree?
Yes.
You understand the difference between acidity and alkalinity after hearing what he said. Let me ask you a question. What percentage of your body weight do you think is water? What percentage about? Say about 60, yeah, maybe say, so probably about 60. Every organ is a little bit different, but think of it like about 60%. So now I want you to think about, where is that water in your body? Think about that. Where do you think the water is? Well, it's in your organs, it's in your blood, right? Your blood is, the water is a part of that. And then there's water that is throughout your body, okay? And that water is everywhere, right? So when you're thinking about that, understand that the blood has a certain pH. And you really can't change the pH of the blood, or that's going to have an adverse effect on your health. But the interstitial fluid in your body, all that fluid that's surrounding and bathing your cells, that pH can change. So when you're thinking about that, think about you. What do you bathe your cells in? Think about the fluids that you consume, or the foods that you consume. What do you think you're bathing your cells in? Acidity or alkalinity? Most of maybe acidity, but many people don't even know, right? How would we know? Let me give you an example. If I took this can of Coke, okay, one of the main ingredients in this can of Coke is acid. So let's call it what it is. Acid. So if I take this can of Coke and I ask you, would you go to your car and pour this acid all over the hood of your car? Would you do it? Who would do it? Just drive a volunteer to run out to your car and pour this. Why not? What are you afraid of that might happen if you put this Coke and pour it on your vehicle? It would corrode. It would probably eat the paint. But Johnny down the street is going to take this Coke and pour it into his body. What do you think happens when you take something acidic like this and pour it into your body? What happens, guys?
Bad stuff.
Your body goes into crisis mode, right? Oh my goodness, what is it going to do? So it looks at that acid, and the way that we're able in our body to buffer acid are through minerals. So what it has to do is it has to start sucking the minerals out of the bones and out of the muscles. Can you see how that would weaken your structure? Why do we have such a big osteoporosis problem in the United States? We're sucking the minerals out of our bones, right? So it's going to pull the minerals out and try to buffer that acid. The next thing it's going to do, it can't do it all, so it's going to take that acid and it's going to do with it what it does with all toxins. Where does our body place toxins to protect the body? In fat cells. So can you see how people are getting bigger? Because your body's taking all that acid and sticking it in the fat cells. So people are getting bigger, but their bones and muscles are getting weaker. Do you see how that has a detrimental effect on the structure of the body? Okay, because we're about to have some fun and see some of the drinks and some of the ways that we can affect our pH or our acid. So, what do you think contributes to acidity in our bodies? Anybody?
Food.
Foods, right, foods. Also our lifestyle. Also stress creates a lot of acidity in our body. Exercise. What do you produce when you exercise? Lactic acid. Even though exercise is good, it's still acidic. So if we can identify the things that may be creating acid in your body, and then find ways that you can have a solution to help your body alkalize, that's our goal today. So we're about to have some fun with these. Let's look at one thing first. What are the effects of acidity? Oh, you already said people get fatter, people get weaker. What else does acidity do? It increases inflammation, okay? I'm a chiropractor, I'm a dietitian. You're increasing inflammation, so you're increasing pain throughout the body. It could be in a joint. If it's in a muscle, what is that? When you have that acidity and inflammation, fibromyalgia, think of how painful all of that is. So you're going to increase discomfort. What about blood sugar? When we're very acidic, the blood sugar is higher. It can't get into the cell like it should. Okay, some people out here may understand and deal with blood sugar issues. If you're very inflamed, blood pressure. It's going to increase your blood pressure, okay, because of inflammation. What about oxygen at the muscles? Anybody exercise in here? Any athletes? We want to have oxygen at our muscles. When we're very acidic, there's not as much oxygen at our muscles. It decreases oxygen saturation. And how about energy? We're real acidic. Can you see how that would affect your energy? Okay, so we're going to look at these different drinks, and I'm going to pour them in here. Can you see that just from what Dr. Street said and what we've gone over already, how important it is to alkalize? Alkalizing would make us healthier. You can see on Chris's list up here. And I'm going to take all these different drinks. So if you were thinking just off the top of your head, I wonder if something is acidic or alkaline. How many label readers do I have in here? How many of you read labels? Okay, label reading is really important. How many of you read a label and it told you what the pH is? Has anybody seen the, whoa, we didn't practice that one. So has anybody ever read a label and got the pH off of it? Probably not. Unless you see that there's acid in something, like the Coke, but it's still not telling you the pH. So really, a lot of times people don't know. They're not real sure what the pH is of something. So I tried to get all clear liquids so we can have a lot of fun and see what the pH is of these. Now, as Chris has this great scale up here, the way that we can check pH is by using something called a reagent. And we're going to test these. The reagent interacts with the acid, okay? And so by color, it's going to tell us if something is more acidic or if it's more alkaline. So let's have some fun and look at these. Before I do that, I'm just going to also have a control, okay? This is just water. Ah, there we go. Oh, now she
Yeah. She's the athlete. That's the athlete there.
And look at that. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that now, does it? Thank you, Josie. Okay. Let me just ask one question. Do any of you drink some of these products, or you know somebody else who does?
Not anymore.
Somebody. Okay. What about, wait a minute. What about this? Does anybody know somebody who does this? Let's add this one in too. I think we need to check this one too. Because there's a few people, maybe not us, but we of course know somebody else who may try some of this. So let's test this one too. All right. So we're putting the reagent in, and I want you to look and see, do you think that these are acidic? Look at the scale. Okay, as it becomes yellow and orange. Now, isn't that interesting? Because wouldn't we have thought that water would probably be more neutral? Okay, neutral is when we're in this range here. But we're all, maybe aware of soda or coffee, and I couldn't use those because of the color. But when we look at these, look at how acidic water even is. So how many of us, and I'm a physician who does this all the time, I'm telling my patients, drink more water. Take half your body weight and drink water. And we're all trying to do that, and we're trying to do well. But is this awareness not helpful to you?
Yes.
That the water that you're drinking may be acidic. Okay, so when we're looking at that, that's kind of telling all of these products up here are very acidic. So when we move from here, what about Gatorade? Do any of you use this if you're exercising? Do any of you know athletes who use this? Have you ever seen a professional athlete consuming Gatorade? Do you remember, what did we say were the effects of acidity before? Fatter and weaker muscles and weaker bones, right? Increased inflammation. What does increased inflammation cause? Pain. It causes an increase in blood pressure. Do you remember we also said that when someone's acidic, there's less oxygen delivery, oxygen saturation at the tissue and muscle level. So if someone is an athlete who's performing, who is producing lactic acid already, and they consume something like this, can you see how that might be more harmful than helpful at that moment? Is everybody with me?
Yes.
It's eye-opening, isn't it? So, YOLI, I am so proud to be affiliated with YOLI for a couple of reasons. Do we understand that alkalizing, does anybody think that they know somebody who needs to be alkalized?
Yep.
We see that acidity is a problem. We went over all the reasons for that. And so YOLI always is looking to innovate and come up with solutions to our problems. And what they have done is they looked at and added or created products that can alkalize and help us, because we may consume some of these. We may go and have a bottle of water, but we need to have ways that are going to help us. So how can a person alkalize in general? Well, you can avoid some of the acidic products, right? Which it sounds like a lot of you do that already. We can also consume foods that are alkaline. When you consume foods that are alkaline, that's great, but oftentimes they're dark green leafy vegetables. And as great as that is, the amount that you have to consume is enormous. So it's good, but it's almost hard to consume enough, okay? So what else can we do? We can buy alkaline water. Have you ever seen alkaline water? How expensive is it? Quite expensive usually. And I'll tell you, when you look at the alkaline water that people purchase, oftentimes it's not way alkalized. It's just, it's a little bit more alkaline than neutral, but it isn't like a very strong alkalizing. So what we want to do is, we want to find solutions, and that's what YOLI did. The thing that they did is they have something called Alkalete. And do you remember before I said, what helps neutralize acid? Your body pulls what?
Minerals.
Minerals, right? Out of our bones and out of our muscles. So what Alkalete is, it's a bunch of minerals, macro minerals. But let me ask you a question. Let's have a good analogy. This is a pencil, and let's all pretend that this is a diamond, okay? This pencil point is graphite. Graphite is made up of carbons. A diamond is made up of carbons. Do these have the same value, if this was real?
No.
The graphite in a pencil is made up of carbons, and the diamond is made of carbons. They're made up of the same thing, okay? What's the difference in these two? The structure. And that's the beauty of Alkalete. Yeah, it's minerals. You can go buy minerals anywhere. But the structure is so specific that that's what makes this special, and that's why this is patented, because of the structure of Alkalete. You will not get Alkalete anywhere else. That structure, and they took Alkalete, and they also put it in some of their other products. They put it in pH2O, we're going to talk about these, and they put it in fun. Okay, drinks that people use, because we need to use Alkalete as a foundational nutritional product, because I want to function in an alkalized state. I don't want to be full of acid and have my body always trying to catch up. But if this is our foundation, and we're telling people to drink water, I have 6 children, okay? I'm trying to tell them to drink water all the time. But if they're bathing their cells in acidic water, are they getting the benefit? Probably not as much. Do you know anybody who's doing the same thing, or is it just me? Okay? You guys are the same. So they made these amazing products. So let's look at it now. We'll start with the Alkalete, okay? I have a bottle of Alkalete. We're going to take some of these capsules and open them apart. Now, you know how I said before that we want, if you had to take vegetables and get the minerals and alkalize from that, 2 of these Alkalete capsules would be equal to 10 servings of kale, as far as alkalizing power. I mean, instead of eating 10 servings of kale, I would rather take my 2 Alkalete, okay? So here we go. I'm going to put a little bit of Alkalete in here. We're going to see the effects. Now, one of the amazing things about Alkalete is that it's time released, okay? So it's going to have an effect over time. So that water, do you see the wine? What color is the wine? Orange. So acidic. We'll come back to it because soda. Is the Alkalete even touching it? No. So if you consume some soda, some Sprite, do you think, I'll add some more, but I already know that if we add more Alkalete to this, do you know if you wanted to buffer 1 cup of Sprite, it takes 32 gallons of water. So if you have your child drink some Sprite, look how difficult that is. Okay, so you see the effects. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an Alkalete and I'm going to put it in our control. There's not a reagent in here, so you're not going to see a color change. But this is our control. So if someone consumes alkali, they may not know, but we'll look at the results of that later. So this is pretty significant. Can you see that? Let's go on to some pH2O. pH2O is our drink, and the amazing thing about that is it has some alkali in it, but it also has 72 trace minerals. I made it really clear to you guys how important minerals are, right? So let's put some of the pH2O in the water. I have a little tiny little bit. Look at how that pops. This pH2O is going to have a significant impact. Oops, I'm sorry. I put a lot in there, guys. These, because look at, I just used such a little amount in those. So can you see how acidic these are? You have an athlete who wants to perform. Their muscles, they're very acidic because they're building up all this lactic acid. They go to perform, and with that acidity, you have a decrease in oxygen delivery to the muscles. They then go and consume something like this, make them more acidic, less oxygen. They're going to fatigue, their endurance is going to be lower, it's just going to affect them in a huge way. And that goes for us too. Now let's look at something significant. Let's take this Gatorade that people give kids, and here's the water. We look at this water, we know that this, I'm just going to take 1 teaspoonful. Let's see what effect Gatorade has on that water. Look at that, guys. Gatorade. Now sometimes I know people go to the store, they'll be like, oh, they'll let their kids have maybe some Sprite, thinking that it's better than maybe some of the others. But let's try it with the Sprite. And remember, this actually has alkali in it. About 1 teaspoon. Sprite. Look at the effect that it has on your body. Pretty huge, huh? Is that exciting? Are you feeling it? Like, I'm feeling it? Okay. All right, let's look at this. A couple other things. So do we know, let's again reiterate what the benefits are of alkalizing. We know that your body's storing acid in the fat cells. When you alkalize with something like alkali, pH2O, or fun, what's going to happen? It's going to suck the acid out of the fat cells, so people will get thinner and lighter. That make sense? The other thing is, instead of your body pulling minerals out of your bones and muscles, it's going to buffer that. It's going to preserve the bones and minerals. So you're keeping the structure good. You're staying stronger and thinner. The next thing at the joint level, if you are alkalizing, you're going to decrease acidity, decrease inflammation, decrease pain. That makes sense? Same thing in the muscles too, when you think of certain things that people may be experiencing with that. The next thing is, if you decrease inflammation, what do you think happens to blood pressure? It improves, right? What about oxygen delivery to the cells? It improves, which means you have an athlete who's performing, and it doesn't have to be an athlete, because I like to perform too, and I'm not an athlete. But guess what? If somebody who wants to perform, you alkalize, now there's more oxygen delivery to the muscles, which means the muscle's not going to fatigue as fast, and it's going to last longer, and your recovery is going to be better. The next thing is blood sugar, which is significant. If you alkalize, you improve blood sugar delivery to the cell, which means you decrease blood sugar. How about energy? All of us in here, right? Energy. You're more energized when your body is alkalized. Does that make sense? You guys are so good. Who knows somebody who needs alkalite? Yeah. Who knows somebody who should be taking this every single day so their body's functioning in an alkalized state? And then consuming the drinks to support that lifestyle. All right, a few other things, guys. Let's just see. How many of you feel like you learned something right now with this little demonstration that you can use immediately in your life?
Yep.
Okay, how many of you can share that with someone else? Right? You can help somebody simply. Our motto, well, we have several mottos. My motto in my office, I'll say that, we make a difference in the lives we touch. With Alkalete, we transform lives. And this is how, by making that much of a difference in someone's health. We know that most people have an acidic lifestyle, right? What? Their lifestyle, stress. Diet, exercise is good, but it affects it. Diet is the big one, right? Acidic effects, you already know. We talked about it. Obesity. We know obese people in this country, right? Obesity, inflammation, weakness, pain, muscle fatigue, sickness, right? Improving it with alkalizing. Again, alkali is something that can be standard that we take to improve foundation. Those drinks support it. We're improving our health and performance. Remember one thing too, alkali is patented. You're not gonna get it anywhere else. So, what questions do you guys have? I'll put this over here. Any questions? Thank you so much.
Yay.